Hello, I'm James McKinney, the creator and host of the Startup Story podcast and founder of the hottest new entrepreneurial coffee subscription, Grindology. With 2021 being just around the corner, I am sure you are leveraging the remaining time in 2020 to prepare for a major Q1 push for your business right now. One of those areas of preparation might just be in the area of fundraising. And if that is the case for you or your business, then you need to watch this video as we hear the key strategies used by Marco Zappacosta, co-founder and CEO of Thumbtack. Marco has used these strategies to raise over $400 million across 7 rounds of funding. I think it's safe to say Marco knows what he's talking about when it comes to fundraising, so let's jump into it. Every week, I sit with a successful founder to unpack their entrepreneurial journey that led them to build the incredible businesses and brands that they have. With over 100 episodes and almost 100,000 listeners across the UK, Australia, and the United States, we have been fortunate to have some of the most amazing founders join the show. And just recently, I had the chance to speak with Marco Zappacosta, co-founder and CEO of Thumbtack. Thumbtack is a local services marketplace helping people like you and I find and hire skilled professionals. You can literally find a skilled professional for anything on Thumbtack. But what makes Marco's journey fascinating is that he is a self-taught entrepreneur who started Thumbtack right out of college based on the belief that he could solve an age-old problem. Why is it so hard to hire a plumber or a piano teacher or any local professional? In fact, while discussing his entrepreneurial journey for the Startup Story podcast, he shared how he and his co-founders actually started Thumbtack in a really unconventional way. They just started a business and then they brainstormed around a problem to solve. While it might not have been a conventional start, Thumbtack has grown to some incredible heights, and we unpack his journey in great detail on the podcast. But with that in mind, there was one element of his story that I knew would be of tremendous value to you. And in this episode, Marco shares with us some key tactics he has employed to help navigate the 7 funding rounds that have brought in over $400 million from some of the most respected venture capital firms in the world. This segment is rich with proven strategies from a founder that is in the mix and building a large-scale business. These are not tactics from a self-proclaimed thought leader. But before we jump into this segment from my time with Marco Zappacosta, I highly suggest you watch to the very end of this video, as I have a special offer to have your business highlighted in an upcoming episode of The Startup Story. Now let's hear direct from Marco Zappacosta, co-founder and CEO of Thumbtack, on his key tactics to delivering a truly compelling pitch. One of the things you said when we talk about the challenges of the last 5 years is about scale, right? And scale does require a capital infusion. And again, I just mentioned earlier, last year you closed your Series F. We have a lot of rounds of funding, so you must be really good at fundraising. But also too, you mentioned how you completely rebuilt the Thumbtack platform to really take the business to the next level to serve the pros and the homeowners, if you will, the customers at a new level, really wrapping in a lot of customer experience on both sides. Again, capital intensive. So let me ask you, you must have some framework, some idea, if you will, some formula to what a winning pitch looks like. I mean, what for you, what does that look like? How do you view pitching for capital?
That's a good question. And I don't know if I have a formula for you, but I'll walk you through my thought process. So first thing that I think you got to do is understand your audience. And specifically when you're raising money, recognize that these investors, who at whatever stage they are thinking of this as a bridge from where you are to a bridge to a future state where you will be enticing either to some other future investor, or you'll be ready to go public. Wherever that destination is, you got to understand what they're solving for, where they're trying to get this business, because that then becomes sort of a way marker for you to say, is this story going to make clear to them that this business with their money is going to get there? So I think the first thing is just know your audience and understand what are they trying to accomplish, and ensure that your story gives them confidence in that. That's general though. More specifically, I'd say is remember that this is a story. This is a narrative. And that's how humans sort of absorb content and also get excited about things. There is obviously a ton of data that goes into it, and ultimately to get people over the line, the spreadsheets have to convince them just as much as the story. But that narrative is critical for creating that connection, that spark, that excitement, that without having that, there's just no way you're going to make it over the line. And I think my goal was always first and foremost to ground them in that this problem was immense and that it was inevitably going to be solved because the world was going to do that, and that we were the company that was going to win that race. And here was why. I think often you'll see pitches where, it instantly starts getting into the product, or it instantly starts getting on the service being offered, when really, like, where you got to start and you got to ground is in the problem and the opportunity, and to get an investor to really appreciate how big that is and how ripe it is for disruption. So I would always do a lot of work there, and thankfully, I could always say, hey, this probably happened in your life, right? And they'd tell me some story about, some project that they couldn't find a pro for and the disaster that it led to. So, I was operating in with confidence because I knew that this was something that they all had. But then, it's like, once you get them excited about the opportunity, it's like, why us? And, you'll have heard people talk about, like, what's our secret? What's your unique approach? Yeah. And with this, what you have to do is give them confidence that you understand the market, you understand the dynamics, you understand what the other players are doing, and that you then have an approach that is not just unique, but is unique and right. And got to unpack that for them. But look, I think this is a job that founders need to be great at, because it's not just pitching investors. That happens rarely, but you're kind of always selling, whether it's somebody you're trying to recruit, a partner you're trying to sign up, a deal you're trying to get done, and storytelling and communication and getting people excited, I think, is a core part of the job. I don't think there's one way of doing it. You meet a lot of different storytellers who do it in their own way, but you've got to be able to get people excited. That is just fundamental.
I hope you found this content helpful. And if you did, then please make sure to subscribe to the Startup Story podcast on your podcast platform of choice. This way you can hear Marco's episode in its entirety. With over 100 founder interviews to choose from, I am confident you will find many that will be helpful to your entrepreneurial journey. And I mentioned earlier that I have a special offer to promote your business or brand within the Startup Story podcast. And this offer requires nothing from you except your time. You see, in every episode of the Startup Story, I read a listener review from Apple Podcasts. If you visit the Startup Story show page within Apple Podcasts and leave a written review, I will read it in an upcoming episode. And here's the best part. If you insert your URL, social media account, or company name within the review, then when I read your review in an episode of Startup Story, your brand or URL will be inserted into the Startup Story and live on for years to come. It's basically a free advertisement for your business or brand within the Startup Story. I hope you will subscribe to this show, as well as follow us on all the many social media platforms. I say it in every episode because I believe it. Entrepreneurs support other entrepreneurs, and we're here to support you.